For the sake of argument, let us acknowledge that the author herein has made a plausible effort based on scriptures and ancient considerations concerning the period of the return and judgment of the Christ. But the question remains, who is this Christ? Is it Jesus or another to come? Well, let's get some more information on Christ or the Lord. In the book of Exodus, chapter 15, verse 3, it reads, "The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name." In Isaiah chapter 42, verse 13, we have, "The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies." Here the book of Exodus and the prophet Isaiah tell us that the Lord or Christ is a man of war. As noted at the beginning of this video, we learned that the Christ to return will crush and kill the wicked, so much so that Christ's raiment is soaked red in their blood. Is that right? Okay, let's look a little deeper. In ancient times, the planet Mars in our solar system was known as the god of war. This was the common reference made by the Romans to the planet Mars. Mars is commonly called the red planet. Given these characteristics, the planet Mars serves as a sign for Christ, the Lord, who is coming to crush and kill the wicked and literally spill their blood according to Scripture. Let us revisit one key verse in the book of Revelation concerning Christ. Revelation chapter 6, starting at verse 15, we have, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne." This verse here indicates that the people was panicking and in fear for their lives, running from Christ, the wicked, and or he that sitteth on the throne. Now, let's get back on point. In 1877, in the capital of America, in the capital of the United States of America, in Washington, D.C., the moons of the planet Mars was discovered for the first time. These moons were called Deimos and Phobos. The word Deimos is Greek for dread, and the word Phobos is Greek for fear. You know, the root word of phobia. You know, like you have a arachnophobia, like you're scared of fire, scared of spiders. So the two moons of Mars unto this day are known as Deimos and Phobos, dread and fear. So let's look at this spiritually or metaphysically. What happened in the capital of the United States in the year 1877 when they was looking at Mars? What happened? What does this mean? The United States was told by her own scientists in the spiritual sense, when they was looking at Mars and looking at these two moons. Remember, the planet Mars was known in ancient times as the god of war, and the two moons of Mars discovered were called dread and fear. So what was the United States told in 1877? They were told that God or the man of war comes with fear and dread, just as indicated in Isaiah chapter 8 verse 13 about the Lord when he comes. Chapter 8 verse 13 reads, "Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread." And remember, we have just read that the Lord is a man of war, and it says let him be your fear and let him be your dread. So if we reread this scripture concerning the Lord of hosts himself, we can, since we know who the Lord is, he's a man of war, then we can say, sanctify the man of war himself. Let him be your fear and let him be your dread. Now the Revelator bears the prophet Isaiah witness and tells us concerning the coming of Christ. He tells us that this Christ is a man of war. In Revelation chapter 19 verse 11 we have, "And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." Here the Revelator tells you that the Christ is a man that makes war, or is a man of war. So who is this Christ that is coming, putting fear and dread upon the wicked? And what does this have to do with the year 1877? Now I must tell you the truth. Jesus of 2,000 years ago, according to all the evidence that we have seen, is not the Christ that is coming to crush and kill the wicked. How could he be anyway? You were taught in church that were you taught in church that Jesus was coming back to kill a lot of people at the end of the world, so much so that his clothes will be soaked in blood? I was not taught this in church, and neither were you. So this man Christ, who's coming to crush the wicked and spill their blood upon his raiment, and his blood and his raiment be soaked in blood, this is not what we're taught about Jesus. Christ is another man altogether. Christ is a man of war, and he's coming for blood.